Well, welcome to Celtic Advent. We've got our Christmas tree up in Urban Abbey, which is very exciting. And we're going to carry on thinking about peace at this time, which is I've really enjoyed going through peace this week, and I've really enjoyed these moments actually, where we can just settle and quieten our hearts, connect with the presence of God, and allow His peace to come and flood us. It does feel like when we make the effort to draw near to God, then peace comes to flood our hearts. Let's pause for a moment as we've been doing. Let's breathe slowly and breathe deeply and become aware once again of the presence of God, who's with us, in us, and all around us. Today, Lord, I say simply thank you for your peace. There's nothing quite like it. Thank you. In Luke 24, verse 36, we look not at the nativity story or at the life of Christ, but actually after his death and resurrection. So this is really out of context for what we're normally looking at this time of year when we're going through Advent. But there's a beautiful passage here that again talks about peace. Luke 24 verse 36 says, "While they were still talking about this, Jesus himself stood among them and said to them, 'Peace be with you.'" At that stage, Jesus had attracted a number of people who were his followers, and they were excited about the fact that he'd come into their lives, and they were excited about the fact of what they believed in him. They saw him to be the Messiah, and they would have had certain expectations of what the Messiah would do. And so for those guys who were following him at that stage, to see this person that they had put their hopes in, hanging on a cross, giving his life and dying, that was not what they expected. That would have really devastated them. And they would have been heart-searching, and they would have been thinking, what has happened? This person that we had put so much hope in, this person that we put so much store in, is not who we thought. The reality was, of course, that they had completely misunderstood the role of the Messiah and what Messiah would do when he came. And the fact that he died, and then at that stage they weren't sure, but he was rising from death as well, was actually the heart of the story. It wasn't that he was coming to ride into Jerusalem on a white charger looking to take over the power from Rome. But he was coming and he was taking on our darkness, the depths of our despair as humanity, and the depths of our own depravity. And as he entered right into the depths of all of that, he freed us from the sin that can entangle us and hold us down. And as he rose again into life, he broke the bonds that death held over us, and he broke the bonds that sin held over us, and he freed us. And that was what Messiah was coming to do, to free us. We had separated ourselves from him. And yet this was our chance to now walk straight back into his presence, accept his forgiveness, and know that peace in our hearts actually. But into this room of troubled disciples who were still trying to work out what on earth has just happened. Where are our hopes now? They've been dashed. And into that room of frightened believers, not really believers anymore, but frightened people, Jesus stands in the middle of them and he says, "Fear not, peace I give to you. My peace I bring to you. I don't give as the world gives." The world's peace at that time, there was this thing that would have been a saying in the Roman Empire of the Pax Romana, the peace of Rome. Of course, it wasn't really a peace, it was the fact that Rome had conquered, and the Roman rule was seen to be a rule of peace. In fact, of course, it was a rule of terror, and yet they still called it Pax Romana, the peace of Rome. So Jesus says, that's not the kind of peace I bring you. The kind of peace I bring you is the freedom. Everything being okay. Not a fragile peace, but shalom. Nothing broken, nothing missing. And of course, no sooner has Jesus passed on this peace to his disciples again, he then commissions them and says, "I'm sending you." Walter Brueggemann, one of my favourite theologians, talks about exactly this passage in Luke 24 and puts a very strong tie between the fact that we accept Jesus' peace and we must also accept his sending. He commissions us, he sends us with this incredible message, a message that can change the world. Let's ponder for a moment. Have there been times where you've felt distressed and like, I don't know what's happening? Where have my hopes gone? My hope now seems to have disappeared. Maybe you feel like that right now. Let's just ponder, have there been times like that for you where hope has disappeared? Let's dwell on the peace that Jesus offers. He comes to those troubled disciples in the locked room and says, "My peace I give you, not like this world's peace, my peace." I love the fact that he stands up in the boat in the storm and says, "Peace, be still." So for our troubled hearts, where we may be in a world where our hopes seem to have been dashed and what we had hoped for has disappeared, Jesus comes and he says, "My peace I give you." And in the tumultuous troubles that you may feel are like a storm around you, then Jesus says, "Peace, be still." The action for today is, as Brueggemann says, if we are going to receive the peace of God, then we need to receive the commissioning of God. So let's think about, where can we go and take the peace of God into the world around us? Let's pray. Holy God, thank you that you are so kind to us, that you've broken down the barriers that were in us, the barriers that kept us away from you, the barriers that we had built up ourselves. As you tore down that dividing wall, you allowed us to come with hearts filled with peace, to be reconciled to you. Now, Lord, help us. As we receive your peace into our hearts, where can we go to take your peace? Would you just drop into our hearts, into our minds, a very clear thought right now as to where we can take your peace in this coming week? And help us to bring peace to others. We want to be blessed as peacemakers. Amen. Amen. Who knows what will be on the tree next time you see it? Decorations. Could be amazing. Bless you. See you tomorrow.